నువ్వు అటెండ్ అవ్వట్లే.
ஆமா எலக்ட்ரானிக் சிட்டி அது ஆக்சுவலா. ஸோ மார்ச்லேருந்து நான் அங்கே போவேன். எக்கோ ஸ்பேஸ் நான் இப்போ மார்ச் வரைக்கும் எப்பயாவது போவேன். ரேராவது மந்த்லி 2-3 days அந்த மாதிரி போகிறேன். முன்னாடி போயிட்டு இருந்தேன் ரெகுலராக. மார்கன் ஸ்டான்லி. ஓகே ஓகே. எக்கோ வேர்ல்டு இருக்கு. ஆமா மார்கன் வேல்யூ இருக்குதா கேள்விப்பட்டேன். நீங்க அதுக்கு முன்னாடியே வரும். எக்கோ ஸ்பேஸ்க்கு முன்னாடியே இப்போ எப்படி வருவாங்கன்னா இது
Your voice is not coming.
I once started talking. Some people are still joining.
Okay.
Ma'am, can you just help me how to take the files from the drive?
Just right click on it and download.
In the Jupyter homepage,
Which file do you want to download?
yesterday's file, like users have to go, right?
What I shared?
Yes, ma'am.
That will be on the drive. You have to
Okay.
click on the Google Drive, go
Okay.
there, click and
Okay.
download the file you want.
Ma'am, can you send
Okay.
the drive link?
Why every day you guys are asking for drive link?
No, I joined yesterday on.
Yesterday also I joined, I shared.
Ready?
The reason I created drive is because every day I don't want to share. Yeah, I've shared it. So you can just go inside and whichever you want, right click and download. Okay, so I think let's start off. Maybe others will join later. So yesterday we have seen up to list, tuple, and string, right? So all the methods related to list and tuple we saw, and some important things from string we have seen. Right, so string methods. So today we will move on to the other data types. So let me write it down again. We were talking about different data types. So we started off with the basic types, right? So that is numeric. Okay. Just a moment. Numeric types, right? So here we saw integral and non-integral. And the data types were int and float. And then we saw a Boolean. The data type is bool. And this has only two values, right? So it takes only true or false. So we call these basic, right? So these are primitive or basic data types. So one variable will be able to hold only a single value inside, right? So if you declare a variable X, then it can hold only one number. But then we wanted a more complex data types where we wanted to hold multiple things in the same variable, right? So this is where we talked about collections. So first type of collection that we saw was sequence, where we have a series of values or a sequence of values placed one after the other, right? So this is generally a sequence. And this has what is called a positional index. And here we saw three types of sequence. So we saw a list, tuple, and string, right? So what is the difference here? List is mutable, mutable and immutable. So mutable, we saw list, and in immutable, we saw tuple and string. And hopefully we understand what we mean by immutable and mutable. Then we saw some methods, we saw the methods that are related to this. That is what all operations can be performed on a list, on a tuple, and on a string, right? So now we will move on to slightly more, let's say, complex, right? So a little bit more detailed data set, which is mapping type. So the data type here is called the map type, dictionary type. The data type is DICT or dict, right? So this is dict data type. So even though we have a sequence, right? So here we still have some limitation saying, see, I can store marks in one sequence. But what if I want to store the names and marks of multiple people? Then I'll have to create another sequence called names. And in that I will put the names, and marks will be in a different sequence. And then I will have to, my audio is not clear, people?
It's clear, ma'am.
It's clear, and lucky, I think some problem on your side. Others are able to hear properly. Please check, okay? Okay, so what happens? I need another list called list or tuple or whatever, right? So I need another list called names, and then I will have to somehow link this name to this mark, right? So this name could be Tom, and the mark could be 45. This could be Joe, and this could be 60, right? So I will have to link these two, which is kind of tedious. So a dictionary allows us to do this kind of mapping. Dictionary has what are called key value pairs, right? And before we move on, how do we define a list? We use square brackets. For a tuple, we use, what happened? Okay, list we use square brackets. For tuple, we use regular brackets. And for string, we use any type of quotes. So for a dictionary, we will use the flower braces. And within the dictionary, you have what are called key value pairs, right? So here in this case, I can have a key called name. And let's say I'm creating a dictionary to hold all the details about a student, right? So in that case, I can create a dictionary called S1, where I have student ID as the key and some number as the value. Then you give a comma, name will be the key, and value will be Thomas, for example, comma, then course, let's say analytics, and marks, right? So marks, I can give it as a list of marks. So whatever he has scored in all the subjects or all throughout in different semesters or something like that. 50, 65, 70, 40. Right, so as you can see, I can give anything as values. So these are called keys, right? So these are called keys, and these are called values. So here you don't have the idea of indexing. The keys perform the same role of an index. Right, so what does index do? Index is used to fetch values from this. So if I want the element at index position 2, what would I do? I would say marks of 2. Similarly, here keys play the role of indexing. So if I want the course of Thomas, I will say S1 of course. Right, so you can think of keys as indexes, which are used to fetch the values. So this will return analytics. Right, so this is what we call a dictionary. A dictionary has key value pairs, and dictionary is created using flower braces. So let's create a simple dictionary, right? And then we will talk about other things. So I'll open a new file. I'll call it dictionary type. Dict type. So I'll create a first dictionary, D1 is equal to, I have to give flower braces, SID, right? So colon 100, name colon Thomas, and age colon 20, then course, analytics, and finally marks. I will give it as a list, right? So let's say 50, 79, 88, 90, right? So these are the marks that he has scored, and this is a dictionary. So if I print D1, this is the dictionary. And what is the type of D1? It is a dict. So how can I take values from this? I can just say from D1, get me posts. Right, so I can say from D1, get me name. Right, so that will give me the name of the student. Right, so this is how you can create a simple dictionary. So you can try this. I want to see what all operations can be performed on a string dictionary. I can say dir of dict. Right, so these are the things. So we'll come to this later. So first we'll see how to create dictionary. Done. Done. Did you create?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's see another way of creating a dictionary. Okay, so usually, like I mentioned, you might have data in two separate sequences. One could be in a list, one could be in a tuple or two lists or something like that, right? So in that case, what you can do, you can combine them together and you can create a new dictionary, right? So we will look at one specific method here. So we'll see a function called zip, which is very, very useful, right? So let's say I have list 1, which contains names, right? So Tom, Tim, John, Jim. And I have another list which contains marks. That's 50, 70, 85, 60. So now what I can do is there is a function called zip. So I can say zip L1, L2. So what will happen? It will take the first elements from the 2 lists and create a tuple like this. Then it will take the second elements from the 2 lists. This was top. And create another tuple. Then it will take the third elements from both lists, John, and the fourth elements from both lists. So like this, it will take values from both the list, Jim and 60. So this can be used to create a dictionary, right? So how do we do that? I can say I can convert this into dict. So if I say dict of right? So I'm taking this value, right? So these values, and I am converting it into a dictionary. So if you do that, the result would be these, the first values will be taken as keys, the second values will be taken as values, and a dictionary will be created like this. Tom : 50, Tim : 70, right? And John : 80, 85, and Jim : 60.
Ma'am, hello.
Ha.
What if first list have only less values and second list have higher values, and how it will match?
It will take only the matching values.
Okay.
How
What
many?
about extra values? It will show empty
That
or
will be left out.
okay.
So, so when you are saying zip, right? So it's not only 2 lists, you can zip multiple sequences together, right? So you can have L3 also, in which case the first element from all the 3 lists will be taken, right? So we will do this and then we will convert this into a dictionary. So let's try that. So I'll create the second method, right? So that is using zip. So I have names, which is our Tom, Tim, John, Jim, right? And marks. Let's say 67, 75, 89, 90. So now if I do a zip, right? So I won't be able to see what is there inside. So if I say zip names, comma marks, I can't print it out, right? So it will just say it is a zipped object. But if you really want to see what is inside, you can iterate over it. It's not necessary, but if you want to see, right? So if you want to see this, then you can say for X in this zip names, comma marks, I can print X and see what is there inside, right? So can you see it has created tuples by combining these values? This is just to see, right? So there is no need to see this, but we can create a dictionary out of it. So I'll say dict of the zipped values of names and marks, right? So this is my D2. So I can see what is there in D2, right? So this is another way of creating your dictionaries. Let me know once you're done.
Ma'am, what
Yeah.
line number 13 is actually stating?
It is just saying a zipped object has been created at this memory location,
Okay.
right? So let me know once you're done.
Ma'am, and when we did we give that semicolon on 14th line?
The line.
For X in zip names, yeah.
So we saw how to do iteration, no? We saw how to do iteration. So
Okay.
there we have given, this is how you have to specify. Right? So
Okay.
here, see, this is how we do iterations. That is the syntax.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Done, ma'am.
Done. All right. So another way of doing this is, you could say, so instead of using your this bracket, right? So if you find it difficult to type like this, then you could say, let's take the same student thing, and you could mention like this, right? So you can say dict of, let's call this D3. And here you can give key, you can give something like this: SID is equal to 100, comma, name is equal to Thomas, comma, course is equal to analytics. Right, so if you see what is there in D3, right, so this would create, so this is another way of creating a dictionary. So if you find putting colon and all that difficult, then you can create it like this. You can say dict of this, right? So you can say value variable is equal to variable is equal to, this will automatically create it, right? So let me show you one more way, right? And then you can try it. So there is one way to initialize your dictionary, right? So there'll be cases where you just want to initialize the names, for example, right? So you might want to create a dictionary which contains all the names: John, Jim, Kim, Tim. And later on, you will want to fill up the marks for them, or you might want to do some calculations and fill up the grade for these people, right? So you want to initialize a dictionary without specifying values. So that can be done using a method called from keys, right? So let us say I have a names list, I already have a list of names. So I can say dict dot from keys names, right? So this will create a dictionary with Tom, Tim, John, and Jim as key values and null value for the values. So you can later on go ahead and fill it up, right? So after doing some calculations and all, you can fill this up. This is just for initialization purpose. You can also give an alternate value instead of none, right? So let us say I want to fill it with zeros. So in that case, it will initialize this and all values will be given the value 0, right? So this is another way in which you can initialize your dictionary. So this is mainly used for initialization purpose, right? So and later on, you can go and fill it up with whatever values you want. So you can try these two.
Ma'am, you
Let
are
me-
missing one bracket.
Sorry?
Greater than, you are missing greater than bracket before method.
Okay. Yeah, you do this. I'm just playing around.
Here you are getting the code from the website. If you don't get it, shall we simply type the color name?
Ah,
Will
you
it
can
work?
type the color name. Color names are limited, but from the web you can choose any color you want. Don't look at that. You're supposed to practice this. Done? Right. So if you find this method easy, you can do this, right? So this people prefer to use this sometimes rather than typing it the other way. So one thing here, right, so that you need to be aware of when you are creating dictionaries, right? So the keys can be anything. The keys can be any data type. No, the values can be any data type, right? So values can be any data type. You can have integer, right? So you can have a list, you can have tuples, you can have strings, you can have Boolean, but keys should be only immutable types, right? So only immutable data types. What are the immutable types that we know? We know tuple, string we know is immutable, numeric values are also immutable, right? So I can have a number as my key. I can have a string as a key, which we have used. I can have a tuple, let's say 0, 0, and let's say this is the origin. Right, so value can be anything. So I can give a list as values. I can give a Boolean type as values. Right, so married, let's say false. So values can be any data type, right? So, but any type. But your keys should be only immutable types. Right? So that is, you can have a tuple, you can have a string or a numeric value. When you say numeric, it can be float also. Right? So let's try creating a dictionary with the different keys. So keys can only be immutable types. Okay, so let's create one. Let's create a dictionary D.
How to create the
4.
text, ma'am? Keys can, how to convert to that into text?
Which one?
These keys can be,
Yeah, this is the what we did first class, no? You have to make it markdown and then give these hash values.
Okay.
So D4, I'll use this way, right? So dict, or I can't do that. So I can give a number as key. Then I can give what else? String. Right. So obviously we have been using that. Then I can give a tuple as a key. I'll call this origin, or some location and all you can give. Then what else? Only these three are allowed, right? If you try to, okay, let us print this D4. Right, so this works. But if you try to give list as a key, right? So if you try to give a list as a key, it'll give you an error, right? Because list is not mutable, so you can't give that as a key. See, it says unhashable type list. So list is not allowed. Right? So this is not allowed. So, so this is how you can, so these are the different ways of creating a dictionary, right? So we have seen how to create dictionaries. Now, so now what we'll do, we will see the methods that are associated with the dictionary, right? So let me take this dictionary D1, right? So if I want to see what all keys are there in the dictionary, I can say D1 dot keys. So it will give me all the keys here. If I want to see only the values, I can say D1 dot values. Right, and if I say D1 dot items, it will give me all the key value pairs. Right, so Sid and 100, name and Thomas, age and 20. So these are the different key value pairs inside this. Right, so accessing elements. Accessing values from dict. So this, you can say keys, it will give you all the keys. Values will give you all the values. Items will give you all the key value pairs. But if you want to take out one specific thing, you can say from D1, give me the name. Right? So here keys act like indexes in list or a tuple. Right? So D1 of marks. This will return a list. So this is how you can access elements from the dictionary. So what I want you to do is, I want you to create a dictionary. Use this method. Use this method, not this one. Use this method, right? So of zipping two things, and create a dictionary which has states and capitals. So first create a list of states, then create a list of capitals, zip them together and create a dictionary, right? So you can have Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Telangana, all those things, and capitals. Then you zip it together, then create a dictionary out of it. Call the dictionary D-states. Can you do this and tell me?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
I'm not able to execute a command. Something wrong
Which
has
command?
happened. Yeah, I've just wrote the command D4 and not able to execute it. Shall I reopen the file or there's any option?
Share the screen. Let me see.
Yeah. Sharing option is
Yeah, I allowed.
See, this is the code. I'm pressing shift or enter is not working.
Click on that run button.
It's still not working. When I click over here, see, it's not working.
Okay, do
I'm
kernel
allowed.
restart and run all. Oh, I think you closed that black color screen.
No, that is open as well. See, it's open.
Can you show me that?
Yeah.
You need to share your entire screen.
Is it open?
We opened multiple. All right, you can close it and restart. Save this. Click on the save icon.
It's safe now.
Now you can close everything. Close these tabs.
Okay.
Close the tab on day one also close. Home also close. Control C. Now start a new Jupyter notebook. Kernel restart run all you do.
Ma'am, paste in chat
This-
box.
This one?
Restart and run out. Yeah. Restart. Yeah.
Not working. Yeah,
Okay.
okay. It's working now. Thank you.
Paste what in chat box?
The question you have given.
You have pasted, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. I am seeing that. Yeah. Kerala capital is Trivandrum, not Kochi. Ravi.
Yeah.
All right. So let me open this. So I hope you guys have created. So let me also create one. So I'll say states. TN Karnataka. We'll take small names. Let's take MP, UP, right? Something that is easy to type, and names. Sorry, capitals. So TN Chennai, Karnataka, Bangalore, Kerala, Trivandrum. What is MP? Bhopal and UP, Lucknow. So now I will call this new dictionary as D states. So I'll say dict, zip, states, comma, capitals. And let's see what is there in D states, right? So now maybe I can add one more. So if you want to add an element, right? So there is no any, you don't have any special methods. You can just add it like this, right? So you don't have any add or append or anything. So add an element. So you can just add it like this. You can say D states of Telangana, right? So this is Hyderabad. And now if you see what is there in these states, what happened? Should have worked. Oh, I have to give equal to, no? I have to give equal to, not a semicolon, right? Now it gets added. So, yeah, so I gave colon here. So D states of Telangana is equal to Hyderabad, right? So we are assigning this value to this key. So it gets added here. So this is how you can add an element. And if you want to make changes, right, so you can just directly okay, we'll come to that, right? But this is how you can, so we have created a new dictionary and we have added an element to it. So now what we will do, what all we have accessed an element, we have added an element. let's make changes to an element, right? So let us update a dictionary. So if you want to make changes, you can directly set it, right? So that is one way. Let's say I want to change the capital of Kerala to Kochi, right? So Kerala, I don't want it to be Trivandrum, so I want to change it to Kochi. So D states. So this gets automatically updated. The other way is you can use another dictionary to set the value. So let me create a small dictionary, right? So D1, I'll say dict or 1. I'll have mango. 2, kiwi. And 3, what do we have? Grapes. Then I'll create another dictionary, D2, right? So this has 2 as strawberry, then 3 as orange, and 4 as apple, right? So in this case, I can say D1, okay, this is my D1, this is my D2. So I can say D1 dot update D2, right? And then you can check what is there in D1. So here what will happen is, okay, let's see this. So what happened? So in D1, we had mango, then kiwi, and grapes. In D2, we had 2 was strawberry, 3 was orange, and 4 was apple. So when you say D1 dot update D2, right? So it means use D2 to update D1. So it is like this thing comes and overwrites this. So what will happen? So if this comes and overwrites this, here you will have strawberry, here you will have orange, and a new element 4 will be added with apple. Right, so these 2 gets overwritten and this is not there, so this gets added. So this is how you can use another dictionary to update your current dictionary. Right, so this is another way.
So, madam,
the-
this is actually overwriting the existing value in the D1.
Yes, updating.
Accordingly, value like 2, 3, 4 position.
Yes. For the matching,
madam,
it will overwrite.
Madam, I have one more doubt in 41 command line. Let's say we have another state UP, and then how come it will work with the 2 identical states? Will this thing work?
You have
If we had another UP,
one more UP.
Yeah, then add Kanpur, let's say.
It will take only the latest value because your keys have to be unique. Right. So whatever you give last, that is the one it will take.
Okay, so let's say we are managing the list of students, 2 identical names will not work on it.
If you have 2, see, name is a value. Here we are talking about keys. See, if you have a student, if you create a dictionary called student and you give 2 keys called names, right? So here you say name is Tom and then again you say name is equal to John, only John will be taken. Value can be anything. Value can be repeated. The keys cannot be repeated. So here, if you say that capital of UP is Trivandrum, no problem. Right? So this will also be Trivandrum, this will also be Trivandrum. But the keys has to be unique here. Is that fine?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am,
Ah,
when I try to update the dictionary using first method,
ah.
it gives the another record. Like Kerala is repeated twice.
You do an update, is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Like this.
Yes, ma'am. Like Kerala is equal to again given Kochi. It has created another record like Kerala is equal to Trivandrum and Kerala is equal to Kochi.
Let's see. I think you have given some spelling mistake or something. Check the capital letter and all. It has to be, if it is exactly same, it will not take it. Okay, I think maybe you gave a small letter or something.
Yeah, okay, ma'am. I'll check.
Ma'am, can we update multiple values in single cell, right? Like
If
Kerala.
you want to do that, then you have to use the second method,
Okay.
which is this. Here you can update multiple values at the same time. But using this way, you can only set it one at a time.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So now there is one more method called set default, right? So if you take D1 dot set default, let's say 2, papaya, right? So now what happens? It says, see, 2 is already there and strawberry is there, so I won't change it, right? So if you say set default, if it is already there, it will not affect it. But if it is not there, right? So if you say set default 5 papaya, this will add it to the dictionary. So what is set default? If it is not there, go ahead and add it. If this key is already there, don't do anything. Right? So this is another way of updating a dictionary, but it will only affect if the value is not present in the dictionary. Right? So if it is there, don't add. If it is there, go ahead and add it. Right? So rarely used, this set default is not that frequently used, but yeah, this is another way of setting values into the dictionary. Right? So let us see what all we have seen. We have seen copy, we haven't seen. Get keys, how to remove items, how to access values. One more thing we have to see, how to remove, right? And then the clear method. So where did we add elements? So here we have added an element to the list, and here we are accessing values. Yeah. So here when we are accessing values, we said D1 of marks, right? So just a moment. Why is this hanging? Okay. So now if I want to, when we are accessing values, right? So what we are doing, we are just saying, if I want Tn, capital of Tn, right? So I will just say D states, get me Tn. So this will return the capital of Tn. But if I give something which is not there, right? So I don't have Goa, for example. So if I say D states of Goa, I'll get an error, right? So it says key error, which says this key called Goa is not there in the dictionary. But see, when you're writing code, you should try to avoid getting errors, right? So what will happen if an error comes in your program? Your program will abruptly stop, right? So your program might be 100 lines long. And in the 20th line, you get an error. It will not execute anymore. It will just stop there and it will not proceed, right? So you should avoid getting writing code which will give you an error. So what we can do here is, instead of accessing it like this, you could say D states of, sorry, not of, dot get Goa. So what is happening? It's just returning null value. It's not giving you an error, right? So if it is there, it will fetch it. If it is not there, it will just give you a null value. So the advantage here is you avoid getting errors in your code. So if you try something that is already there, dstates.get UP, right? So this will return the value. Let me recreate this. Okay. So, so this will return the value if it is there. If it is not there, it will just return null. So the advantage of using get is you can provide a default value, right? So if it is not there, you can give a message. Instead of just saying null, you could say not found, right? So here also, you can say not found. So now what will happen? If it is available, it will return the value. If it is not available, it will return not found, right? So for the case of Goa, it will return not found. For UP, it will return Lucknow only, right? So if it is not there, you return your own message. So that is the advantage of using your get method, right? So otherwise you can access it like this. But the problem with this is if it is not present in the dictionary, you get an error. So to avoid that, you can use the get method, which allows you to, which will return null value if it is not there, but it also allows you to provide your own message if it is not there, right? So this is your get method. Then we saw how to add an element to the dictionary. Yeah, so we'll say D states. And now, how to remove elements, right? So remove elements. So if I want to remove a particular thing, right? So I can say pop item, right? So D states dot pop item will do exactly what your pop method did in list. Do you remember what pop will do? What does pop do?
Removing last element.
It will keep removing elements from the end, right? So here it will remove Telangana first. Again, if you say pop item, it will remove UP. And now if you see D states, right? So you only have up to MP, right? So you can also say, what other method is there? You can also say pop, right? So you can say D states dot pop, right? So here you have to specify an index. you have to say what is it, not index, in this case it is a key, right? So you have to say which element you want to remove. Let's say I want to remove Karnataka. Right, so now Karnataka will be removed. And if you see what is there in these states, only TN, Kerala and MP are there. Right, so pop followed by the key will remove the key value pair from the dictionary. And the last way to remove elements is you can say D states dot clear. So this will automatically remove all the elements from this. And if you see what is there in D states, it will be an empty dictionary. Right. So these are the 3 ways in which you can remove elements. You can try this.
Ma'am,
Sorry.
do we have assignments for these topics?
No.
So
Only
no
for the-
assignments will be there for value-added courses.
No assignments for value-added courses.
Right.
Let me know once you're done. Done. I think we are done with all the methods. So we can take a break also. Copy I'm not doing. I hope you are aware of why copy is needed. Why do we need copy? People? Yesterday we talked about taking a copy of list. Same reason, right? So if you say D1 is equal to D2, then everything, any change that you make in D2 will be reflected in D1. Anything you change in D1 will be reflected in D2 also. So if you want to avoid this, you will say D2 is equal to D1 dot copy. So in this case, you will have 2 separate objects. Here you have only one object. Both D1 and D2 are pointing to this, right? So I'm not showing you that. Copy is to take a backup. But other than that, we have seen clear from keys, get items, keys, pop items at default, update values, right? So all those we have seen, all the methods we have seen. So we'll take a break. We will come back and then we'll see how we can write if statements, loops. Loops we have seen. How to write functions and all that. Okay. Oh, it's already 1:15, but let's take a break, right? So 1:25 will come back. till then, if you haven't completed this, you complete it. I will upload it now itself onto your drive, right? So you can download it and see. All right, so let us continue. So we are done with the dictionary type, right? So next we have to see more advanced types, right? So we will be talking about series and data frames, right? So that is inside pandas. And so we'll talk about this. So here you have series type and data frame type. But before that, we need to understand many things. Right, so you need to understand what is package, module, library, and all. And then we need to understand what are classes and objects. Right, so then we will come to this, right? So, so before that, we will see how we can write simple if statements, how we can write functions in Python, right? So if statements, conditional statements. So if statements are also called conditional statements, right? So that is, we are talking about conditional execution. Conditional execution of statements, right? So what that means is, normally when you write a program, right, so you will have statement 1, statement 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So this is how you have your code, one line after the other. And once you complete it, your program will exit, right? So this is the regular flow of code. But when you say conditional execution, we are saying a part of the code we will execute only if certain condition is satisfied, right? So let's say these 2 lines of code should be executed only if a condition is satisfied. So how do you do that? You will say if, right? So if some condition evaluates to true, then execute it. Otherwise, don't execute it. Right? So this is what we mean by conditional execution. So how does it work in Python? You have statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, right? So, and then let's say you're checking a condition. So you'll say if condition, right? So give a colon, and whatever you need to do if this condition is true has to be given after one tab space, right? So let us say st4 and st5. And then you have st6, 7, 8, and so on. So notice the position, right? So these 2 are one tab space under if, and you have to give a colon also, right? So looking at the position of this, so this is the code that will be conditionally executed. Conditional execution. So how will this work? If this condition is true, then you will execute line 1, line 2, line 3. If condition is true, line 4, line 5, 6, 7, 8. But what if condition is false, right? So in that case, 1, 2, 3 will be executed. Condition is false, so it won't go inside. It will continue with the rest of the statements. Right, so this is what happens when your condition is false. I'm sure you have learned this in SQL, right? So it's exactly the same. So this part of the code is executed conditionally, but the thing to be careful about is this space, right? So you can also say if this condition is false, what should you do? So statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, and then we give a condition, right? So if some condition evaluates to true, then what do you do, right? So let's say you do statement 4 and statement 5. Otherwise, right, so if the condition is not true, only then execute these lines of code, ST6, ST7, and then you continue with ST8. So now how will be the flow of code? If the condition is true, right? So if this evaluates to true, then this line, and then the rest of the code will be executed. This part will not be executed because this is true. This will be executed. If this is false, this will be executed. So if it is false, then how will it look like? 1, 2, 3. This won't work because the condition is not evaluating to true. So this won't be executed. It will come here and execute these 2 lines of code, and then it will continue. Right? So this is what happens in your if and if else statement. So let's try this. We will write a simple program. I'll open a new file. I'll call this core Python. Right. What did I do? Core Python. So let's say I'll have a variable X and I'll make it 10, right? So here I'll say if X, or I'll make this 100, if X greater than 10, right? So give a semicolon. If automatically your cursor will come and stand after 1 tab space. So here you can just say print X X is greater than 100, right? So I'll write some print statements here so we know what is happening, right? So print program starts here. And here program ends. So what will happen now when you run this code? Is X greater than 10? It is true, right? So what will happen? This will be executed. This condition evaluates to true. So this will be executed and then this will be executed. What if this is 10? X greater than, so program starts. X greater than 10 is false. This line won't be executed. This line will be executed, right? So let us try this. Right, so program starts, X is greater. If you make this as 10, program starts and program ends. It won't go inside this part, right? So this is a simple if statement. And let's also see what to do if the condition is not true. Right, so if the condition is not true, what should we do? I will just print else, print X right? So we'll say X is not greater than 100. So in this case, what will happen? Program starts will be printed. This is false, so it will come here. This line of code will be executed and then program ends here. Can you try these two? Let me know if you're facing issue or something. Sorry. You are getting issues, let me know. If you're not trying also, let me know. I will continue.
Yeah, completed.
Completed? Okay. Fine. So if you want, you can, okay, fine. So if you want to check more than 2 conditions, right? So in that case, you can go for if so if you want to check multiple conditions, you will go for if, elif, and else. Right? So here what happens, if condition 1 is true, then do something. Right? Elif condition 2 is true, do something. Elif condition 3 is true. So like this, you can have any number of elifs. Right? So elif condition 4. Right? So as many conditions as you want, you can check. And finally, you can give an else statement. All right. So here what will happen is, the main thing to remember here is, it will check in order, right? So if you check, if you come here and it sees that this condition is satisfied, these lines of code will be executed. It will completely ignore everything else and it will continue with the rest of the statements. Right? So let's say statement 2, statement 3, and so on. Right? So it will start with statement 1 and then it will check this condition. If this condition is satisfied, this line of code will be executed. It won't look at anything else. It will directly come to the next line and continue execution. Right? But if this fails, right? So your this condition is false. So only then, right? So only if condition 1 fails, it will go and check the second condition. And only if second condition also fails, it will go and check the third condition, right? So it will keep checking until it meets the necessary criteria, until the condition is satisfied. So once it finds this, right? So let us say this is a matching. So this line of code will be executed and then it will come outside and continue, right? Only if all the conditions fail. So this failed, this failed, this failed, this failed, right? So only then it will come into the else part, right? So this means all conditions have failed. right? So this is the flow of code for if and elif. So we will write a simple grade calculation, right? So if you are given a mark, if the mark is above 85, then we will say it is a distinction. Marks between 60 and 80. Right, so we'll say first class. Let's say 40 and 60, right? One more condition let us keep. So this is second class. Otherwise fail. Sorry, fail. So how do you write this, right? So here you may have to check two conditions. So let's take marks is equal to 56, right? So now I'll say if marks greater than 80, greater than or equal to 85, then one more thing I forgot to tell you here, right? So when in Python, you have to use equal to sign only for assignment. Right? So what is assignment? I can say x is equal to 15. So 15 is getting assigned to x. Right? So that is one reason. Sorry, this is here you use equal to. But when you want to make comparisons, you will use double equal to. Right? So if I want to see if x, see if I say x is equal to 15, it means I'm creating a variable x and putting 15 into it. But if I say x equal to 15, then I'm checking is the value of x equal to 15. Right? So this is a condition which can return true or false. So let us let's do a simple one first, right? And then we will go on to this grades. So let me write a program which will find whether a number is positive, negative, or 0, right? So let's say I have a number. For the moment, I'll take it as 10. So I'll say if number is greater than 0, right? So I will print positive, right?
Geetika,
Then,
you wrote less than 0.
Sorry. Greater than 0. Elif, right? I check number equal to 0. Right? So then I'll say print 0, else I'll say print negative. Okay. So first this condition will be checked. If it, let us give a message at the end, right? So here I'll say print done, right? So it will come here. This condition is satisfied. So it will print positive. It won't look at anything else. It will come outside and say done, right? Only if this condition fails, it will come here. Only if this condition fails, it will go here, right? So let us give 0. So now it failed here. Then it came here. It checked this. It matched. So it will say 0 and it will come outside. And if you give a negative value, right? So it will say negative and done. What will happen if I move this like this?
Done will not be printed.
Done will be printed only for negative cases, right? Because this is part of this else now.
Okay, if it is 0, it will not be printed.
For 0 and positive, it will not print. For positive, it won't print. For 0, it won't print, but only for negative ones it will print, because now this has become part of this else statement. So the position, right? So the indentation is very important in Python. Okay, so I just wanted to add this double equal to. Let me also write this code, right? So then you can, you can write. So here I'm saying if marks greater than 85, right? So I'll print distinction. Elif, right? So I'll check two conditions, right? So elif marks greater than or equal to 60 and, right, marks less than 80, 80, no, 80 is distinction. Less than 80, then I will print first class. Then I'll check elif marks greater than or equal to 80. Sorry. What is that? 40. And marks less than 60. Then I will print second class, else failed. Right, so else print failed. Right, so 56 means he will be in this range, right? So it should print second class. 66 means he must be first class. 86 or 86 means distinction, right? So 36 means he has failed. Okay, so this is how you can check multiple conditions. But here, right, so I just wanted to show you how to use two conditions together, but it's not really necessary to do this in this particular case. If I remove this, do you think it will work as expected? Will this work as expected? Actually, yes. Right, I hope you're all there. So this will work. Why? See, this condition, in this case, I don't have to really check. Because when will this come to this line of code? Only if this fails. So if this fails, what is the meaning? Your mark is anyway less than 80. So do I have to check it again? No need, right? So I came to this line only because my mark happens to be less than 80. Right? So if you take 46, for example, marks greater than 80? No, right? So that is why it came here. So is it greater than 60? No, right? So then it will come here, right? So it came here only because your mark is less than 80 and 60. So there is no need to check this, right? So you can only check if it is greater than 40 or not. I hope you get this, right? Because this is getting executed in order, and this condition will be checked only if this condition evaluates to false, right? So there is no need to specifically check this. Are you clear with this? Right, so this code also will work exactly as expected. It says failed, 56 second class, 66 first class, and 86 distinction. Right, so this is how you can use if and else if. So let's stop here, right? So tomorrow we'll see how to write functions, what are modules, packages, what are classes, and oh no, not tomorrow, Monday, right? So Monday we will continue. I will upload this whatever we have here, I will upload it. The notes also, yeah, okay. Dictionary and if notes. I'll upload it here and I will also put it on your drive. Yeah. And today's code also. Oh, sorry, I sent it to Lucky only.
How many days will be having Python, ma'am?
The plan is for 6 days,
Okay.
but I think we might need more because we are going a little slowly. Let's see if we can pick it up. If we can pick up the pace, then we can. Yeah, I have uploaded it here and I will also put it on your drive. Drive. Python. I've already put. Yesterday's Blackboard I might have deleted. I don't think I have that. I think I deleted it. Can you show how to open a new kernel? New kernel for a new notebook? Opening a new notebook from an existing file. No, it won't. You can't click on the existing file. You have to open Jupyter Notebook. And from there, you have to go to the folder and here only you can select. Right, so you cannot double click on the notebook and open it. Yeah, Lucky, I didn't get your question. Is it a new? If you want, you can share your screen. Okay. Are you sharing? A new notebook, you just from your home page, you will say new Python 3 kernel. Okay. Is that fine? Okay, fine. Then let us stop for the day. Right. So do practice. We will meet again on Monday. Yeah. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.